Okay, in this tutorial, we're moving from the analysis phase of the web development process into the planning phase. So I'm going to have a look, and the first stage in that is system analysis. So as I said, we have covered the idea and the 5 stages of analysis. And in this tutorial, we're going to move on to the first stage of planning, which is system analysis. So there's 5 stages in total in planning. So over the next 4 or 5 tutorials, we're going to cover those. But it's really important because up until now, we've covered analysis. And analysis really, as I said before, is setting the scene. So once we're finished the analysis stage, we know broadly where we're going with regards to we've set our aims and objectives. We know who our target audience are. We know our time cost analysis. So we know exactly how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take. We know what's involved and who is involved in each of the stages so far. So as I said, broadly, we know where we're going. Planning is all about getting the specifics in here. So after the planning phase, we will not only know where we're going, we'll know exactly what's going to be involved in our website with regards to what kind of content we're going to have, what kind of plugins we're going to use, how many pages we're going to have, what kind of navigational structure we're going to use, what kind of content is going to be involved. Is it just going to be text and images and audio and video, or what's going to be involved? Okay, so we also know the layout of our site, the design of our site. We'll know all of these things. So if at the end of this, we can actually put together what's known as a design specification document. And if we wanted to, we could give that to a designer and they would bring to fruition our plans and our ideas. So that's the whole idea of what planning is going to be about. And without it, we're kind of lost. So it's a really important phase, a really important stage of the web development process. The first stage we're going to look at, or the first part of this, is going to be system analysis. Now, when you focus on the term system analysis, it always seems to be a relatively complex undertaking. But when it comes to web development, it's not really all that complex, because really there's a couple of decisions that need to be made. And, once you make those, it kind of sets the scene for everything that follows. Okay, so what I'm going to say is that system analysis for us, it includes 3 different things. The first thing is browser compatibility. So in other words, what browsers will our website be compatible with? Okay. So first of all, the question must be, what is a browser? So just ask yourself that for a second. What is a browser? Name a browser. What are the most common browsers? Which ones do we use? Okay. So the likes of Chrome is probably the most common browser at this point in time. It is the most common browser at this point in time. But what does it do? Okay. And, with the likes of Safari, what did it do differently? Well, really what they do is they get a website which is made up of what's known as HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, and it converts it to something which is user-friendly and nice and easy for a user to view and to interact with. So that's really what a browser is. So which browsers do we use? As I mentioned before, it's very important for us to figure out which ones we use, but even more important to figure out which ones our customers use. Why do we use them? And we all probably have an idea about why we use the browsers that we do. Which is the most common? So we'll have a look at these. That's what we're going to look at under browser compatibility. So for starters here, if we look at the browser market, and this is up until May 2020, and you can actually see, and we all would have gone with, yeah, Chrome is probably the most commonly used browser that we deal with. Safari is the second most common one. Firefox, and then it starts breaking up into a lot of different things, such as, Samsung Internet. So that'll tell you straight away that, hold on a second, it's not as simple a topic as you might think, because something such as Samsung Internet, are we talking about that being a mobile browser? Yes, we are. Okay. And then also when you look at Opera further down along, and Edge and Internet Explorer, and then Android and so on. So let's be honest, the browser market, once upon a time, when we talked about that, we were talking about literally the desktop market. But now there are so many other platforms that come in here. Okay, so you've got to remember that, and you've got to think, right, hold on a second, which ones do I want to serve with my website? Okay, if I just look at this here, the browser usage in the mobile market in the same phase, May 2019 to May 2020. So this is the mobile market. We can see here that Chrome is still up there on top. Safari is still second, and quite often we're talking about similar browsers throughout, but not exactly the same ones. If I just jump in here, if I look at the browser usage in Ireland, again, we're talking about Chrome, Safari, Samsung Internet, etc. Okay, but other ones pop in there. So at the very end here, you can see the PS4 popping in there. So, we've got to maybe cater for slightly different browsers in slightly different markets, and you've got to remember that. Okay, so. But it's very interesting to look at these to see that, there might be slightly different percentages. So one size doesn't fit all. So when you ask yourself, like, with regards to this, which ones do you want to be able to serve? Well, the answer is, I think, fairly clear. Okay. When it comes to browser compatibility, what we want to be able to say is that our website serves all the main browsers. So we're not going to say, listen, it only works with Chrome or it only works with Safari. That's too lazy, because at the end of the day, that means that we haven't really tested it on other browsers. And that's all we need to do. In a lot of cases, when we create our website, we just test it on a different one just to make sure that it works well in all of them. Okay. The next topic within system analysis that we need to look at is frames compatibility. Okay. And this is a very simple question. Are we going to use frames or are we not going to use frames? So that brings up the first question. What in the name of God is a frame? Okay, so a frame, and we've all come across these. Some people will know exactly what they are, but a frame is a structure that allows for the dividing of a web page into two or more independent parts. So if I look at this here for a second, this page that we look at here is actually split up into three sections. Okay, and quite often you will see a scroll bar on one of these, and that kind of gives away that maybe the page is not just one page. Maybe it's more than one page. And sometimes you see a scroll bar here along the right hand side of the main frame, and this will scroll up and down, which means that the top frame up here will stay static, and you will always see the menu up on top and access to maybe social media icons or search facilities and so on. And the menu on the left hand side will always remain visible as well. But this page over here would scroll up and down. And that is a very common type of frame. There's lots of others out there, but that's commonly what it does, okay? The beauty of a frame means that if we use frames, that we can keep certain parts of our page visible all the time, okay? That could be a header, it could be a footer, it could be a menu, or whatever the case might be, which means that it makes life easier on the user when they see what's going on, and they can always click on other icons or other items on the menu very easily, okay? Now, what else does it do? Well, it means that if I have 1,000 pages, I really only need to create maybe, a couple of menus as opposed to one for every single page if we're using frames. So what it does is when you look over here on the left hand side, we can see here that there's one page here. All right, there's a second page in here. And from the second page, you can then click on a link to open up a third or fourth or fifth. So all I do is click here and this page here changes, okay? So we can see that the one on the left-hand side is static and the one on the right-hand side maybe opens up 3 or 4 or 5 other types of frames, okay? Or other types of pages. So the beauty of a frames page is that you hold the structure of your page very easily, okay? And you can control what goes on. So with this type of thing here, this is exactly the page I looked at a second ago. So I'm just going to click on it just to show you exactly how this one works. And you can see that this part over here remains static. This part over here you can scroll, and this part over here remains static as well. Okay, so that's the way a frame page works. Okay, so the question you've got to ask yourself about frames compatibility: are you going to use frames or are you not going to use frames? It's as simple as that. And to be quite honest, very simply here, there's 4 marks going for system analysis in total. One is for browser compatibility, and you have to say the sentence, we're going to be compatible with all the main browsers. The second one is for frames compatibility, and all you have to say is you are going to use frames, and if you do say that, you get a point or 1 mark, or you're not going to use frames. and you get a point and 1 mark. So really what I'm trying to say is I don't mind whether you use frames or not use frames, but it's forcing you to make the decision early as to whether you're going to use them or not. Okay. And the last one is plugin requirements. So the first question you got to ask yourself, like anything else, is what is a plugin? And these are very, very common. A plugin is an additional piece of software that you can install on your browser to increase the functionality of it or to improve the functionality of your browser. Okay, and they're very common, and there's lots of them. Like we can see here, Adobe Flash, which is slowly moving towards the abyss, but is still installed on a lot of computers out there. But lots of other ones. Okay, so a very common one is Adobe Acrobat, which reads PDFs. You've got Silverlight, which you've come across, I'd imagine, Shockwave, which you've come across, and then there's audio players and video players and lots of other things. A plugin could be something as simple as an antivirus or something that helps you maybe present different languages or whatever the case might be. So again, what we're looking for here is, are you going to use plugins or are you not? Okay, if you are going to use plugins, you need to state which plugins you're going to use, and therefore you've got to keep in mind that these are going to be additional pieces of software that people may need to download in order to make your website completely functional. And with that in mind, you've got to say to yourself, is it worth it or is it not worth it? Okay, so again here, that's what you've got to look at when it comes to plugins. Okay, so in this case here, when I look at Kilmainham Jail's example here, this is their system analysis. As you can see, it's a very, very short section, and you're dealing with here, it's compatible with all the main browsers. You don't even need to state which ones they are. You just have to make that statement that it's compatible with all the main browsers. Frames will be used for easy navigation, okay? So again, you get a point for that, to get a point for this, and to get plugins here, and to get a point to say what the plugin is. So the way this works is you get 1 mark for saying you are browser compatible, 1 mark for saying you are frames compatible or not, as it turns out, 1 mark to say that you're using a plugin, and 1 mark to say which plugins you're using. If you're not using plugins, you get 2 marks for saying we're not using plugins. So it's a very simple 4 marks there.